Hiya, I hope you're keeping well. Today's video is going to be a really simple guide to covering very extreme redness and also managing things like the fact that it's hot to the touch, may be prone to running about a bit through the day, so I hope it's helpful. This video is kicking off a little mini series I'm going to do, and it's my most asked questions of 2021. At the start of this year, whenever you've asked me a question on Instagram, I've written it down in this very grubby now book, and it's brilliant because I'm looking at it at the end of November and I can see that there are such common themes time and time again in the kinds of questions being asked, and one of the main ones is how to cover redness. This is more of a technique focused video, so ultimately I want you to follow these steps with whatever you've already got at home, but just in case, I have included a product list in the description here. If you click to make the video full screen, the title will come up along the top. Click the arrow next to it and you'll see that list. But I'm also going to link back to some of my previous rosacea videos so that if you wanted to see kind of more product reviews of things like makeup and skincare, you've got some of those videos available too. So first of all, I'm going to just kind of come closer to the camera. This is the easiest way to do it because if I zoom in, you lose the clarity. Hopefully you can see just a real close-up picture here of my skin. There's natural kind of pores and texture here. There's areas of redness, but touch wood, the actual redness isn't as textured at the moment. The first thing I would say to you, if you're having redness and texture, is that if you can get that under control, it helps your makeup to look even more flawless. And like, I'm going to put a lot of coverage on today, but touch wood, it might not look like a lot of coverage. With the texture being reduced, it kind of bounces the light a bit better and makes it look more fresh. Everyone's skin is different. A great place to start to achieve that smooth texture on redness skin is Azelaic Acid. So have a look for that in skincare or whatever you're looking for to treat your redness. So Emma, you wanted makeup tips for red skin that is prone to flaring, prone to feeling really hot to the touch and then gets oily through the day. And then Kay, you said that your redness feels like sandpaper to the touch. We've all been there. I've definitely been there. The first thing I'd advise you to do is find a rich moisturiser that will help you to repair the skin barrier. That goes for both of you. Use that twice a day and use it under your makeup. I've had my skincare on for about 10 minutes. So let's actually do some makeup now. When I'm covering my rosacea, what I want is to look like I haven't got loads of makeup on, but have a lot of coverage in key places. So you can see on my face, it's kind of like a butterfly across the centre. I'm going to put more coverage here and less everywhere else. It's up to you if you want to do your concealer first or your concealer second. I like to put my base on all over and then I can go in and see if I want any more concealer, you know, if I need it. I'm going to use today the Illuminating CC cream from It Cosmetics. This is the shade Light Medium. Nicola, you had said to me that you wanted full coverage with a glow. This is the kind of thing that would be really good for that. I'm using a Complexion Perfection brush for this. This is one of my key tips, whatever you're using. I don't want you to press really hard with your brush. I want you to barely let this brush touch your face and really gently buff it in. The soft touch of this really means that I'm placing this coverage on my skin rather than like if you press too hard or you rush, you're just going to rub it off and not actually build the coverage. When I was picking my products that I wanted to use today, as you know, I'm a makeup artist. I've been a makeup artist for 10 years now. Have I been? Maybe a bit longer. Anyway, I've had my blog and pages for a really, really long time and I'm very lucky. Often brands will ask me to work with them if they've got a new launch or they want to kind of create educational content around their products. Lots of the things that I would recommend are from brands that I've worked with, and it's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, because the reason I've worked with them is because I believe in the product. But at the same time, I do appreciate that you are bombarded with people like me, product recommendations. You know, it can be difficult to know where to look. So I'm going to show you a mixture of both. Like the It Cosmetics CC cream, that would be my #1 pick. I'd recommend it to everyone. If you want something at a lower price point and full coverage that looks luminous, the Flower Beauty Light Illusion Foundation is from Superdrug. This is Drew Barrymore's brand. That is fantastic. I've never worked with them. I bought that from the Superdrug near my house. I'm going to give you a little mixture of things. But anyway, back to this. You can see already I've got a full coverage there. But do you see what I mean? That looks really luminous. And like by the time I've done my whole face, it will actually probably look quite glowy. So I'm really, again, gently pressing this onto the face. My first task is just going to be to get a wash of colour everywhere. And then I've got good news and bad news. The good news is, like, this is a great starting point. But the bad news is I kind of want your makeup to mess up a few times, because that's when you're going to learn. And what I mean by that is, if I look at this now, I'm thinking, great, I've got loads of coverage. It's completely flawless. I'm delighted, you know. However, I know my skin. I get hot down the T-zone, and in a few hours, that starts to look sweaty. But it's only from having that happen a few times that I now know how to get in there first and prevent that causing me any harm. Not harm, that's a bit dramatic, just, you know, not letting my makeup sit perfectly for the day. So that in mind, I'm going to follow up with something else. To be honest with you, if I was looking at my face now, that does need powdering, by the way. If I was looking at my face now, I'm really happy with that. That's me done. However, if it was another day and my skin was really red, let's say like I can get that often if I've had white wine, sometimes it's like certain foods. The thing with rosacea or redness, you can do everything right and it's not your fault. It will sometimes just, you know, your face will completely sabotage you. I'm going to add, this is the NARS, what do I actually call this? The Soft Matte Complete Concealer. It comes in a pot. This has a matte finish. And if you're someone that notices that in particular the cheeks can be quite a big one for this with redness, if you notice that that's where it starts to show through before it has a chance to, I want you to get in there. And something I would point out, a lot of the time when I do these videos about coverage and redness, people will say that is a lot of makeup, and I do get where you're coming from, it is a lot of makeup. However, in order to get like a completely full coverage, you do need to layer a few little steps. And like often, I think that, I think a lot of it is marketing collateral on products, where people will say this lasts all day and this, that, the other. And then you might think if it's not lasting all day that you've done something wrong, but it's not you. It's just that when you have redness, you've got different deliverables going on in your skin that someone else doesn't have. So like, for example, Emma, you had told me that your skin is really hot to the touch when it's red. So there's good news and bad news with that, because the good news is that natural heat will soften your makeup, make it sit beautifully and nice and fresh, which is great, but it will also mean that your makeup is prone to melting away so much more quickly than a person who hasn't got that kind of extreme heat in their complexion. Right, I'm finding the right brush. This is a Peaches PC15. I'm now going to take some translucent setting powder. I really believe that in particular for redness, you want to layer your steps, whatever they are. I've chosen to use a traditional CC cream and a concealer. You could also find things like green colour correctors and put those under your makeup. You might do your concealer first and then your base, whatever it is. But ultimately, we've got two little layers going on and I want to lock them into place. So 11 minutes, this is really, I can't remember actually if I always mess up the beginning of the video and it takes me a few starts, so maybe we've not been going for 11 minutes. Anyway, I'm going to load this brush up. This is some of the It Cosmetics by Pores powder. Again, use whichever kind of setting powder you already have. And I'm going to press this onto the skin rather than rubbing it in. The reason being, I've just spent all that time building this coverage. If I rub, I could potentially take it away. Now, just to show you really up close, that is just the way the camera will pick up powder. It's very difficult to show you without really bright light. That obviously looks quite blurred in finish, but it's just the way the lighting is. It's not high definition enough to show you that that's just where the brush went and that's the end of that. However, that's your translucent powder. Another thing I want to show you, and again, I've got new lights on the way. Hopefully I'll be able to show you in a lot more detail when they come. The likes of the tinted setting powders that you can get, or like a powder foundation, if you wanted to layer even more coverage at this point, you could do so with your setting powder. Now, this particular foundation that I've used, again, is one that I have worked with this year. It's a very full coverage, so you'd want to be really light with this one, and I wouldn't recommend that you use it for your setting of your foundation all day, because you'd be laying more and more coverage on top of each other. But if you wanted to do your first set with this, to just lock in a bit of extra coverage and then touch up with something translucent, it can make a really big difference. Now, Kay, back to you. You said to me that you're using a number of setting powders. You've used the Laura Mercier translucent powder, the Hourglass Veil, and you're still not getting the results that you'd really like. Both of those, I would say, are fantastic powders, and you've chosen really well. So I don't think like another powder to add to your list is going to change things, because you've got a great couple of powders there. I would see if you want to try changing tactic. So for example, instead of setting with a powder, maybe you'd like to use a setting spray. I mentioned this one this week from Urban Decay. This is actually the All Nighter Ultra Glow. I knew the bottle was different the other day and I was thinking, what's the difference? So this is more of a luminising setting spray. What is great about the Urban Decay setting sprays is that they have a patented temperature control technology within the formula. So when you spray it, oh gosh, if you spray it at your face would help. When you spray it, it will reduce the temperature of your skin. If you're on the go, if you keep that in the fridge at home, whatever works for you, it's nice to know that you've got something in your routine that's sealing everything in and helping to reduce the temperature. The reality is, once you've got an equation that works for you, you've got skincare that's kind of keeping everything calm. In particular for hot skin, it can be that right now at this moment in time, your skin barrier is slightly compromised, and that with the right solutions to that, all of this will fall into place, calm down, give you the better results from your makeup, all of that. But in the interim, it's nice to have these quick solutions. So at this point, you've got your makeup, you're happy with it. Now we're going to go through the day and it's going to show through, it's going to go patchy, oily. A bit back to my earlier point, I think one of the big misconceptions that we have is that you're going to put something on once in the morning and that's going to be the end of that. The reality is, for you to look and feel like you've got great coverage on all day, it's just going to require a few touch-ups here and there. It will just become second nature to you. I don't think you need to bring your entire makeup bag out with you. But if you were to bring the likes of your setting powder and then a concealer and just top up through the day, you're going to be doing a really big favour to yourself. Another thing I would say to you is, for top-ups, focus on the centre of the face. If you're looking at me now, you can't really see what's going on down here, but you can see the centre of my face perfectly. Keep that looking and feeling really flawless. Little touch up around the nose, sides of the cheeks, chin, in here can make a world of difference. A few recommendations I would have for that, again, based on people that I have and haven't worked with. I would say high street wise, L'Oreal Infallible Concealer or Maybelline Instant Eye Eraser. In particular this one, because it's got that like soft spongy tip. It's really great for pressing in your product and then, you know, no brushes needed. You can just go with that. The Soft Matte Creamy Concealer from NARS is brilliant because it's matte. If you wanted oil control as well as more coverage, you could just dab that on its own because it will go on with that velvety finish, but also give you a bit more coverage and just kind of mattify everything. Actual complexion wise, The Ordinary do 2 foundations. These are around £6 each. There is the Serum Foundation, which is kind of lightweight and a bit more glowy, and the Coverage Foundation. To be honest with you, in my experience, I prefer the Serum Foundation. You can build that to get a decent level of coverage on redness. However, that one is arguably fuller. The Light Illusion that I was showing you from Flower Beauty looks really glowy, gives you loads of coverage, but this is very, very rich. If you're oily, I don't think you'll like this. If you're dry skinned, absolutely beeline for that. Sticks are handy. Little bareMinerals foundation stick. Again, do your little swipe. That's got lovely skincare ingredients in it as well, so that's going to be great for kind of feeling comfortable as well as giving you that coverage. And then obviously my trusty favourite is the CC cream. Pop to any counter, get a sample of it, try it for yourself, see how it works for you. And then one last thing I would just really ask you to consider when you're dealing with redness. When you Google redness, I feel like there's so many negative results come up. And this isn't like an attack on one publication or anything, but if you think about like how the internet works, if someone's writing an article and they want it to get a lot of traffic and a lot of views, the more kind of sensationalized that headline is, the more likely someone's going to read it and click it and interact with it. And so I find that a lot of the results that you find when you Google rosacea can be quite shocking. It's this chronic thing that there's no cure for, and you know, yes, that's true, it is chronic, there isn't a cure for it, but it's like there's no cure for having to brush your teeth every day, but it's just a normal part of your life, and like it's not the be all and end all. I really, really do not want to diminish your experiences of redness. Like, I know if you have anything that you feel insecure about, it's horrible. But one thing I would like to just really emphasise is that I'm very lucky that in my line of work, I get to speak to dermatologists a lot, absolute experts in their field that have studied for years and years. These people with so much knowledge are telling me consistently that there is so much that you can do to reduce the appearance of your redness. There's so much that you can do that doesn't cost the earth. Some of the best brands that you're going to use in terms of skin are people like CeraVe, widely available in Boots. Roche Posay is where I buy an awful lot of my skincare from. Avene, I know they're probably like mid-price point, but let's just say CeraVe as an example. You can get yourself a full routine in very large bottles that will last you for a long time, that will really help to manage the appearance of that redness. That doesn't show up when you Google it, but it's true. There's so much you can do, and as I say, if you're at a point where your skin is very uncomfortable, very red, very sore, do go and see your doctor, because they will be able to look at your personal skin, give you some solutions to help calm that in the initial kind of moment, and then you'll learn what flares up your own skin. Like, I know if I'm going near white wine, I'm having a bad skin day the next day, and then you can use that information to not have that, you know, before you're having loads of pictures taken the next day at someone's wedding or something. But you will get this under control. That's the big thing I want you to take away. It's horrible in this moment. Power through this moment. Use these full coverage solutions. You might not even need that much coverage once you've got it under control, and you'll get through it, so please don't worry. As I say, all of those old rosacea videos, a couple of those as well, are like Q&As with a dermatologist, so don't take my word for it. Go and have a watch of like when I had Dr. Emma Wedgeworth on here. She's fantastic, full of like so many helpful tips. Go and, you know, you've got access to a derm right there, so do go and watch. But anyway, thank you for watching, and thank you ladies for those questions. They were all brilliant. Thanks for all the questions this year. I'm really looking forward to working through this as a bit of a series. But let me know how you get on. I really hope you've got it under control soon, and I'll talk to you very soon. Take care.